What is up, everybody? This is Herschel Fruin from High School Top 200. This is the Top 200 podcast. Welcome, everybody, here. Welcome to this Friday with some big ass games tomorrow. Remember, if you're new to this, like and subscribe, comment, all that other kind of stuff. When you go to my website, just click a couple of ads. You don't have to buy anything, just click some ads, help me out. Let me know. Just have a look around on my website. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. There's a lot of stuff that people don't agree with, and it's fine. You can message me about it. It's cool. I don't mind that kind of stuff. Because this is Friday. Because this is Friday, this is always when I put out my predictions of the games that are coming up. I'm always going to give you my opinion on the games and what I think is going to happen and why. Like I'm never just gonna say this team is better just because they are. I would give you some reason of why I think that, or what has led me to think something like that. And combinations of players like that. That's always another one. Is combinations of players, which is so important as well. And so I'm gonna do. I do that usually on a Friday, right? So I'll just make sure that I guess give you some kind of, at least some kind of substance to what what I'm thinking about this team, and what I'm thinking about these games as well. So um, obviously we've already had some games. Kings High School Southland was a draw. Should I talk about it now? No, I'll leave it to my Monday morning meeting podcast, and I'll talk about them. But we've already had Kings and Southland. We've already had Lindisfarne and Whanganui Collegiate. Um, Big game against Silverstream and Cole, which is Wellington College. If you don't know who Cole is, Northland play their competition games on Wednesdays. And so they had Kerikeri High School in Dargaville all play, and then Kaitaia and Whangarei Boys 2nd 15. Oh, so that's the other competition that, if you don't know, is Kerikeri High School, Dargaville High School, Kaitaia College, and then Whangarei Boys 2nd 15. They play in their own little competition of their own. And so they play that ones on Wednesday. So obviously for the biggest one, for the big game that we have coming up, is the number one team, which is Hamilton Boys now, are playing Palmy Boys. Now, I I I said that Palmy was going to win last week over Hastings Boys, and they did. And they did it in exactly the way that I said, which was to muscle up front, really have that go forward ball. Scrums were crazy strong and good, and then and because you've got someone like Nasser and Raymond and Folletti up front, and then who was it? What's his name? A year 11 kid, the Stevenson kid, coming off the bench, and he's probably not a key, because like I don't think you could call him a key to it, but he is a pretty Javan is his name, Javan Stevenson. Him and his brother Levi, who's the open side as well. But I think when you have, because you have Zane Munn on the bench as well, and then you got Javan Stevenson coming up, and I think Javan is a young year 11 as well, and even the brother Levi is a young year 12. I think, but having Nasser Raymond and then Folletti starting, just being such big boys, and then you have Javan coming off the bench, and you have Zane Munn coming in for Raymond. tupu sometimes, and then because you wouldn't have to give them so many minutes, even though they're young players, you don't have to give them so many minutes. You could even just have Raymond, um, and Faletti or Nasser, whoever comes off. I mean, you could have them play 60 minutes, 60, 65 minutes if you want, and then just have those young boys come on and exert all of their energy off in that last 5 to 10 minutes. But, I think Mason is probably going to have, you know, Mason Tupai is going to have a hard time, I think. Him and Sean Ralph in that front row. And the thing with Hamilton boys is that they're not. See, Hamilton boys never really have a lot of preseason games. They may only have two, maybe sometimes one or three, but they never have like 4 or 5 like you'd see a lot of teams have. And so they are pretty slow starters, and uh, I have a feeling that Palmy boys are going to win this game. I have a feeling that they're going to win this game, and this is what I reckon is going to happen too. Right? Is that I think Palmy are going to win this game, and then Hamilton boys and Palmy, I reckon, will meet in the finals, and then Hamilton boys will win. Because I think Hamilton boys have the stronger team. But because they always have this kind of history of slow starting, they always lose a game really early in the season, and then they end up going all the way through to the top 4 and sometimes to the finals. But I have a feeling that this might be that game that they lose. And it's funny too, because Nigel and Greg, the coaches, it's almost like they expect it to happen, and there's never really this panic that they have whenever they lose a game. And even when I hear them talk sometimes, and it's like they're all right with it. It's just like they expect it to come. They're okay with it, and they know that their boys are going to bounce back, and they always do. So I have a feeling that Hamilton boys are going to lose tomorrow. Palmy will be the number 1 team. I don't think Palmy are going to lose, and they will meet up with Hamilton boys in the final and may lose then. The other one that is also that I think about with Palmy boys, because Palmy boys always play King's College late in the season. And that will be another game to look forward to as well as King's College and Palmy boys, which I think is up in Auckland this year. If it's up in Auckland, I'll probably go to that game too. I think it's up in Auckland this year because obviously they always alternate. But yeah, okay, I'll jump out there and then go against my number 1 picking, and then I'm going to pick Palmy boys to win this game. See, because the other one is that they do have a strong forward pack. They have a really big and strong forward pack with for Palmy, but at the same time, they still have, I guess, they still have those kind of players that that can get the job done, like Hunter Morrison, like Tom Hansen is another one, Elijah's another one. all these guys in the forward pack that like there's this new kid that he's a young year 12, Joe Simpson Smith, who I really like, um, and also because you still got Elijah Crosswell at 8. I just think that they have a lot of stacked players in their team that I know that can get the job done. Even if they come off the bench, they can still get the job done. And that's in the forward pack. And I think they will tie up a lot of teams all just in the forward pack. Then it leaves guys like Luffle, who is in the back line, Takiari Ching, who's their captain, along with Tom Hansen as well. But then Luffle himself is not a player that you can play one-on-one. He's too solid, he's too explosive, and he's such a smart ball player that you almost need to it's like you have to have your best defender play him. Not necessarily a back, but just best defender. Because he'll throw too much stuff at you that you don't know. And the worst thing is that he's a young year 13. And he can come back next year. But then okay, so you got Luffle who can do that. You still got Logan Love who can do that from first five, who leaves him open a little bit. Then you got Curtis Hefty, you got Tavita, Hinade Schuster, who's another one, and all these guys are just good attacking players. Like even Leo Gordon, who's another one as well. That these guys they're just good ball players, and they're just good at finding opportunities. They're just good at creating and opening and then sharing the ball around, which is something that kids find it hard to do. They always gun for the highlight instead of gunning for the extra yards kind of thing. But Palmy boys seem to be that different kind of team. And it's good that they have players like Curtis Hefty, and then you got Mariki O'Moore as well, who can play first five fullback, and him and Curtis can also switch and change around as well. And because if Logan Love gets injured or something just happens, then at least one of those two can jump in there, and it'll all be the same. It's not going to be any kind of different. But yeah, Palmy Boys is going to be. I think I don't want to change it, but like I just have this feeling that Palmy are going to get it done over Hamilton Boys at home, which I think is going to be big as well. And then later on, probably lose later on down the year. So I'll take that risk and I'll choose them. Auckland Grammar and Kelston Boys is probably another one that is a bit strange. Because I think you got a structured team and Auckland Grammar going against a team that's a pretty athletic filled pack in Kelston that I think can disrupt Auckland Grammar in a way as well if they play it right. And it's at Kelston Boys, which is going to be their second home game in a row. And Kelston, good thing about Kelston is like their supporters are really good to them when they come out as well. And Auckland Grammar supporters they follow as well, so that's pretty good as well. But I think Kelston have this different thing about being home, but I don't think it's going to be a big score. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities and a lot of breaks. But I don't think that the score is going to be too high. I don't think any of them will get over 20. And if they do, it'll only be like maybe 20, like low 20s, like 22, 23, something like that. But I think I think it might be close, and then Auckland Rugby I think will win that one. St. Kentigern's again are going to have to be careful about what they do this weekend, right? And they're going to play Sacred Heart, and because Bono and Kobe K and Josiah, PJ, Petero will be the other one, and Grady. That was kind of the back line, and I think that's gonna give them trouble. Again, St. Kentigern's just have to they have to make it count. Like they have to make the the forward pack count. They have to make sure that forward pack is there and is ready and is controlled, and they don't lose their way, especially throughout the game. Uh, they're just gonna have to, I guess, really concentrate on 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 defense and concentrate on tackling, and then kind of suffocate the ball a bit and eat up clock at the same time. Because I think if it goes in a back and forth of scoring, I don't know if St. Kitts will win. Even though St. Kitts kept down a really good backline like Auckland Grammar. And the thing is with those boys in the backline, right, is that they may be young, but if I was going to play them, I want to play them early. I don't want to play them later on. I don't want to play them um, I don't want to play them later in the season when the kids are like, okay, now I've got the speed. I understand the speed. I understand the execution. I understand this level and the physicality and all that kind of stuff. Stuff that you just learn. And remember, year 11s, they don't come into this with an understanding or kind of a measurement of how this is going to be. They just jump in and go, okay, this is just what it is. Year 12 is when they start thinking about that kind of stuff, and so for me, if I was going to if I'm playing St. Kentigern's, I want to play them early, and I don't want to play them later on in the season when the boys are used to this kind of stuff. Because then, I think by then they're gonna understand what they need, what needs to be done, and then everything's just gonna be easier and slower for them. So I think they'll be. I think I might pick St. Kitts. Yeah, I'll pick St. Kitts for that one. Uh, they're gonna have to be careful, but I'm picking St. Kitts. It is at Sacred Heart, which is obviously an added bonus and being a home field, I guess, because you're the field itself. But I guess in terms of supporters, everyone turns up to each other's games anyway. It's not like they have to travel far. But yeah, I'll pick. I'll stay with St. Kentigern's on that one. King's College, I will go with King's College over Tangaroa. Hastings and Napier is the other one. Hastings, to me, Hastings, um, I think because of they've got so many new players, and they've got so many injuries, and they get Donny back. I was told he was training. Donovan Godney was training, and he's a guy that you would want. Like he's not going to come on. He's not going to. I don't think he would start. I don't think he'll start, but I do think that they'll give him a bit of time to get his fitness up to scratch, like game fitness back. And he's one of those X Factor kind of kids that makes breaks, and he does it so quickly as well because he's so strong and so explosive, and he uses his fends great, and he's a pretty patient player in terms of handing the ball off. Like I don't feel like, well, I haven't seen him give stupid 50-50 passes off. He usually has his head on a swivel looking and making sure that what he does react to is the right one, or he'll just pull the ball back and then just go to ground and play it out. But that's going to be something that Hastings has to figure out, is that where they want to um, start pinpointing their attacks, because they don't really have everyone there that they sort of plan for this year. And so the coaches in a way have to figure that stuff out too. And so depending on what they want to do and how they want to accomplish it, Hastings really got to figure out how to bounce back from last week. And this is not the game that they should. It kind of is, and it kind of isn't. Like, it's not the game because Napier are a really hard side, a really young, energetic side that is. They got one of the best open sides in the country right now. Or the guy who I think is the best open side, and Hugh Taylor. They got young guys like Max Ratcliffe, and then they've got obviously. They've got such young guys that are already good. They're already good players. They're already not like superstars really, because you got Yafeta as well, Ma'a, who's in there, who can be a hooker as well, but I think he's playing prop this year. And he's another guy that you just and the Hastings players know as well. And obviously, these guys are all going to know each other, and they've all played reps together and all that kind of stuff. But they're going to know Yafeta as well, and they're not really going to want to mix it up with him, because he's not the one to pick, man. Like, you just don't go against a guy like him. William Robinson's going to be in there, and then you still got Will Carter's going to be there, Nick Eno. Then you got Gagal, who's Malasia, who's such a good number 8 already, and he's only year 12, and he's just getting bigger as well, which is the other thing that I like about him. He's getting bigger. And then in their backline, obviously, like Jaden Stock, and then Bethel and Ethan Martin, who you just don't want around. Uffa's another one. Morlelli, who's another kid at fullback, who can also play first five or halfback. Tiffany Maxwell is another one. Who is it? I think Katikati is the other one. Broughton, who's got a game last week, but is looking really good this year. And the thing about Napier in last week's game is that they set a lot of those forward starters, and they went with a bunch of young guys, and the young guys did great, and the young guys stood up, and I think it really paid off. And I think Rats, I think he saw what he wanted to see in those young guys and how they stepped up against Gisborne Boys, because Gisborne Boys is not an easy side, and so they managed to pull off the win and managed to get it. I guess, and I think that they got what they needed out of that team, and it is. I feel it's going to pay off this week. I'm pretty worried about Hastings Boys right now, and just the injury toll that they have, and Aldius and Andrew. All these guys, Hoida and that, they all just got to figure it out and just lock down and go, and all just be on the same page and figure something out. And I think they're smart. I think they're smart enough too, but just being in that position, I don't know if Hastings can get out of this one. So I think I might go with Napier for this game, and I think I'll go. Yeah, I might go on Napier's side on this one. I'm going with St. Peter's over Mags, even though I think it's going to be a pretty close game. Another one I don't think is going to be a high-scoring game, maybe mid-teens, lower teens kind of thing. King's High School, even though it's kind of no, I wasn't disappointed at their game. I was disappointed at the fact that it looked like they relaxed, and it looked like they wanted to coast too early. That's what it felt like to me. And it felt like that because and they did some silly penalties. There was just silly penalties that they just shouldn't have had. But I mean, I guess that's just the way it is anyway. And what should have been a win was a draw. It's not a loss, but it's not a win. But yeah, I'm picking them against Dunstan. I'm picking St Andrews against Shirley, It's gonna be another tough game. Um, New Plymouth boys against Tauranga. I'm gonna go with New Plymouth boys. The fielding one against St Paul's Collegiate, and this is a must win for St Paul's Collegiate, and they know it too. But this is a must win. They they can't afford to drop too many games, and this looks like they're gonna. And this looks like one of those games that they just might drop. I like the fact that they're playing in Taupo as well, and the venue, just so that people don't have to travel too far, I guess. But yeah, uh, I'm picking Rotorua against Gisborne Boys. I'm picking Christ College, who I think is looking good, but maybe need to work on a little bit of their. I mean, like backing up, I guess in the same week or like week after week is pretty hard. But um, yeah, I think they're going to win against Marlborough. They're going to go up there, which is obviously a long trip, but yeah, I think they can still get it done. Um, Christchurch boys against Nelson. I think I'm going to go with Nelson College on this one. Christchurch already having to travel up might be a bit too far. Kids not that too many new players not used to it. I'm going with St. Bede's winning over Lincoln. I'm going with De La Salle winning over Dill. Yeah, they'll win over Dilworth. I'll go with Aorere winning against Liston. For the 1B, I've got Southern Cross beating Ongehanga. I've got Howick beating Pakuranga. I've got St. Paul's beating Avondale. Otahu beating Botany. Mount Roscoe beating One Tree Hill. And I think Waitakere is going to beat Maclean's. Wait, no. No, I'm not going to do that. I'll stick with Maclean's. I'll go with Maclean's. I think Mangere has a good shot against Rosehill College, and maybe get 2 wins in a row. So I'll go with Mangere on that one. I'm going with Pepatoi over Marsden. I'm going with Mags 1C over Tamaki, and I'm going with Pukikoe over Edgewater College, which will be a big one. Now, here's one for St. John's Hamilton playing Wesley College. If they beat St. Paul's Collegiate last week, I have a feeling they can beat Wesley this week. And so, and there's some good games, like Hamilton boys playing Palmy, St. John's College playing Wesley, and then St. Peter's Cambridge is playing Francis Douglas. And I have both of them winning. So I'll have St. John's beating Wesley. I'll have St. Peter's School, Cambridge beating Francis Douglas as well. And I think Lindisfarne will beat St. John's Hastings. I think the St. John's Hamilton one, that had just, to me, it's more about the boys at St. John's, the Johnny Boys fellas, just have to forget who they're playing and just think of it as the now. You're not playing the tradition of the name Wesley. You're just playing the team that is selected this week. And I think that St. John's, if they keep that momentum from last week, I think they can beat Wesley this week. And so I'm just going to go out on a bit of a ledge and say that they're going to have that same attitude, bring that same energy, and then I think they're going to beat Wesley this week. Yeah, I'll stick with that. I really enjoyed the Mahurangi game on TV the other week, and um, yeah, I really liked the halfback uh, who I added to the top 200 as well, and I think he can play. I think he can play in a 1A game, and I think he can make. If he was to make a 1A team, I think he could make it. I think he could make a Super 8 team and play at that same level as everybody else and be successful as well. I think that he, like, one thing I try and do was that when I see, non-traditional schools and I see the players that stand out, I kind of think of them in the sense that if they were playing for, Hastings or Rotorua or King's College or something like that, how they would make that position better. Because like you see them do a lot of stuff in their own schools and for their own teams, and you see them do a lot, and you see them so active, and only because they need to. It's only because they have to do that. There's a need for them, and if they don't do it, then it doesn't get done most of the time. And so, like, whenever I see these players and I look at them, I go, okay, I can actually see him on this team here that plays in the Super 8, and I think he can also be successful in doing that as well, and even be better positionally in that team. Because a lot of these guys who are good in all these other teams, whoa, someone likes me. It's just like one of those things where I think that you have to take away all the extra responsibilities that they have on a team, and then um, just grade them according to their positional core roles, and then see what they're going to be like. And so that's kind of how I saw it when I was watching, you know, the Mahurangi game, and I was thinking to myself when I was watching it, I was thinking, oh well, they may be a North Harbour team, and they may be, maybe not as good as those traditional bigger sides that you would see in like the 1A or in the Super 8, and the type of players that come out of um, those programs, and those guys that have been brought up and and they've been brought up in those systems, and then you kind of think, well, yeah, that's just what they do, like that's just kind of how they are, and that how they've been brought up into these positions, knowing exactly what they're supposed to do, knowing exactly where they're supposed to be on the field, and they just read the game great, and so, like, adding, I guess, adding a player like that from um I guess adding a player like that from that school into the top 200, um I thought that Tamatia Winiana fit that same kind of criteria when it came to Mahurangi. And so um, I think if he was at some of these other schools, I think he would be equally as great, and he would be able to do a lot more damage in terms of position wise. So, I mean, that's why I kind of added him to the team, to the rankings as well, just because I liked what he did out there as an individual, really. Um, and I think he'll transition well. I just think he was a good player. That's what I just thought he was a good player. The Takapuna Grammar, I'll go against Massey. I'm going with Massey. Rangi Toto's playing Manurewa, and I'm going to go for Manurewa in that one. I'm picking Rosmini over Orewa, and I'm picking Whangarei Boys over Kaipara. In Waikato, in Hamilton, they've got Fraser High School playing Te Aomuru, and I'm going with Te Aomuru, and a pretty hard game against Cambridge and Matamata, but I think Cambridge is going to take that one out. I think Cambridge is going to be pretty strong within that competition as well. I'm picking Morrinsville over Hillcrest, and I'm picking Forest View over Rototuna Junior High School. I'll pick Tukaroa to win over Pataru, and I'll pick Fairfield College to win over Kaukoroa is that team. In Bay of Plenty, I'm going for John Paul College over Aquinas College. I'll go for Trident High School, who I think is doing well. They've showed I guess a couple of really strong games, and so you kind of want them to carry that on. And I think the John Paul Trident game would be pretty good. Western Heights play Katikati College, and I'll go for Western Heights on that one. Whakatane High School versus Te Puke. I think No, I'll go with Te Puke on that one. Inglewood High School, my nephew's team. They're playing Central. I will go with Inglewood on that one. Little bias, I guess. Henueta play New Plymouth Boys 3rd 15, but I'm going to go with Henueta and Opanaki as well, high school over Francis Douglas 2nd 15. Aoraki Combined versus Timaru, which will be a pretty good game. I'm going with Timaru on that one. Waimea Combined versus Rangiora. I'm going to go with Rangiora on this one, but I think this is going to be a really close game. And even if there is an upset, I wouldn't be too surprised at all, because Waimea is actually playing really good too. Rangiora's only lost one game, and they are sitting 3rd or 2nd. But they look like they're a team on the rise. And so if they win, it's going to say a lot for that team and that program and how they're going. And I've been following them for a few years now, and they seem to be developing a lot better with the younger players coming through. And I think that was something that they didn't really do or concentrate on that much. But in the last 3 years, they've shown that the younger boys do actually really stand up, and it seems to be showing now. The gap between it is getting smaller, where they are becoming competitive pretty much they'll be competitive for 3 years and have a break, and then be competitive again for another 3 years and have a break, where it was kind of the other way around. And so Rangiora are doing really good, and whoever the coaching staff and coaching directors and all that kind of stuff up there that have put this all together, big shout out to you guys, because it's you guys are doing great up there with that. St. Thomas and Canterbury, I'm going with St. Thomas on that one. And then Southland boys play Otago boys 2nd 15, and I'll go with Southland. Otago boys is playing St. Kevin's. Now, I'm going for Otago boys, but I expect St. Kevin's to put on at least 20 points. They seem to be a pretty high-scoring team in general. And so I think that they're going to put on some tries as well. I think they might lose, but it's going to be a high-scoring game anyway, from what I reckon anyway. I'm going to go with Wakatupu over South Otago. I'm going with Mount Aspiring over Otago Combined, and I'll go with John McGlashan over Waitaki Boys High School as well. And it's It's going to be a strong week, and like we are getting to a point where I'm kind of already figuring out um, the top 25 in the country and seeing who those teams are already. But at the same time, there have been a lot. There's no real set, solid, dominant teams, especially in the 1A because it's so hard right now. Like this year, it's such a hard competition. You don't have a set dominant team. Um, the Super 8 is going to kind of be like that as well. I knew Hastings, Hamilton, and Palmy were going to be at the sort of the top three, but now that New Plymouth, New Plymouth as well, but Napier Boys is also um, shown out a bit and show that they can get it done as well. So it is going to be interesting, and I think it's going to be something um, for such a crappy year and how it started. Like this is a pretty solid competition that we have this year all around. Even when it comes to like when I look at the top 50 teams, it's hard to separate um, a lot of these schools with the wins and losses that they've had um, because I mean, well, at this point, Hamilton hasn't lost a game, Palmy hasn't lost a game. Well, Kings hasn't really lost the game. They've drawn, but they haven't lost the game. St. Andrews haven't lost the game either. And even though it's still early, um, there's quite a few teams that only have one loss. Like there's quite a few teams like that. And so I think the other one, because King's College against DLSR, when they had that draw, I think really made it. For one, I think it dropped them out a bit. You saw a bit of distance create in that gap because Auckland Grammar only had one loss. St. Kitts only have one loss now. St. Peter's have only got one loss. Sacred Heart at the same time only have one. Kelston only have one loss. And I think everyone's going to reflect at least two losses. Everyone's going to have I guess two losses this season, especially in the 1A, because it's going to be so tight. And so I think that's just something that they're going to look forward to as well. And yeah, I guess it's just one of those things that you're going to have to watch out for. One thing that I did want to bring up actually is that because right now, for all you parents out there and all you kids out there, right now is the season to look for scholarships. I'm going to tell you how to get a scholarship. It's the same as last year. It's the same as every other year how you get a scholarship. Pick out all the schools that you want to go to or that you feel like you want to attend. Apply to those schools. Let them know that you've applied and that you play rugby and that you were first 15 and that you played reps and all that kind of stuff. And apply and then say, I want to attend your school. And when they see your application come through, then they can call you and discuss with you different options like scholarships. Okay, so parents don't be worried about the scholarship thing. Just apply to the schools, and you can talk about scholarships after. You can say, we would love to join your school, but we just don't have the finances. Are there any scholarships on offer right now? Now, there are schools that have year 9 scholarships, year 10 scholarships, year 11 scholarships, and year 12 scholarships, and sports scholarships, and Pacifica scholarships. And then you can also go to find different scholarships just for Pacifica ones as well, and Māori ones as well, where your iwi may have some kind of fund, and you can use all those kind of different sources to get yourself into these different schools that you want to go to. Make sure you apply. If you don't apply, they cannot talk to you. The school cannot talk to you. You have to make contact with them first. Then they can give you a call. All right? Parents, don't worry about applications, just apply. It doesn't mean your son's going there, it just means that you have showed interest. So all the schools that you want to go to, or that your son has discussed that I want to try this school, I want to see if these guys would take me on, apply. Go onto their websites, whatever school you're going to, go onto their websites, apply for that school, let them know that you have applied. Message after that the first team coach or sports director, give them your story, tell them who you are, and that you would like to discuss different kind of options, just so that they know. All right. Don't be too mad to go in and apply and go, oh, but we don't have the money. It's like, of course you don't have the money. That's fine. But you can talk about other options. If they don't have those options, that's sweet. You go, okay, well, we're going to go and look at another school, which is exactly what you should do. Okay, if you want your son to be at a different school, and if you want him to get different opportunities, if you want him to have a better rugby team or be a part of a better rugby program because that's what he wants to do with his life, that is how you do it. Apply to the school that you want him to go to, and apply for heaps. Like, apply for 6 different schools. There's no rule that you says you can't apply to different schools. You can apply to as many schools as you want. And then work it out after. But just make sure you apply so they can give you a call, so they can talk to you. If you don't apply, they cannot talk to you and they cannot call you or anything like that. So, that's how you get it done. All right? Make sure all you parents out there that are looking for scholarships ask a lot of questions. Be clear on everything. Don't be too ashamed to ask questions because you don't know the answer. If you don't know the answer, you don't know the answer. That's not embarrassing if you don't know the answer. That's how you learn. So parents, apply to all the schools, make contact with the schools, and so they can call you guys back. That's how you get a scholarship. Then you ask for different options. What sort of options does the school have for you, for my son, so that he can come to the school? What happens if he has to be in a boarding house? What happens if he has to, I don't know, be billeted out to somebody else, or, he's going to stay with a family or things like that. Those things you can just ask. Just ask. Don't be too ashamed to ask. It's all right, man. So make sure that you guys go do that kind of stuff. This is the season. This is the time right now that you want to do it because everyone's doing open home. What's it called? Open home? Not like you're looking for a house, but enrollment for next year is happening right now. So this is the time you would want to go and do it. Okay, so get everything done because if schools are looking for positions and they are looking for players and they are looking for kids to fill up those scholarships, and they don't have those kind of things, then it's going to come later in November and December when schools are like scattering around trying to find all these different little players and that kind of stuff. And so that's when I come into it. All right. So get it first so they don't have to be looking around and then they'll be looking for your position anyway. So apply to as many schools. Don't worry about being ashamed about anything. Apply. They can call you, ask for options, talk about different scenarios. Talk about different things for your son. Find the subjects that he likes at school. Find the curriculum and the direction he wants. And remember, being a part of a school sometimes means you're being a part of the alumni group and the old boys club and guys that can help you guys out as well when you finish school and you start going to university and you're finding the field that you want to build another career in. That's also important. All right, like I love looking at some of these guys, the alma mater that they've been to, and then seeing all the old boys clubs. Like Mags has a massive old boys club, and because my dad's an old Mags boy as well, and they're just so supportive in what they do and how they help out the kids that are still there now. I've just seen Mags how it works. I've seen Auckland Grammars how theirs is done. Wanganui Collegiate seems to be pretty strong in that as well when it comes to the old boys that go to the club. Wellington College, I remember a few years back was really strong in that kind of thing. Christchurch boys always have a strong alumni and stuff. So like it's not about just going to that school, but it's also about being a part of that culture of that school and also the old boys who can help you out in your career when you finish rugby or when you finish school and then carry on to find your other career besides rugby. Okay, so like that's also another important thing as well. Um, Also, and I was thinking about this before, right? Is that I have a feeling that there's gonna be, uh, I have a feeling there's gonna be a lot of young year 13s from this year coming back next year, which I think is a good thing, especially if rugby is your choice and your path. Um, really discuss, and if that's something that you're thinking about because you didn't really have a full season, you don't really get to play reps of that much, and you're able to come back, have a talk to your parents, and see what they feel and see what they think. Make sure that you have all the credits and or if there's extra classes that you needed to take, and remember that if you do decide to come back next year and you're young in year 13 and you have the opportunity also to take university classes and papers while you're at high school, to do it and be an asset to your school as well. become a Become like a big brother to someone, become like a tutor to someone that needs your help as well. Don't be a burden on the school just because you got some free periods open. Help some out, help some young kids out. Help all the young kids that you wish that you got help from the older boys when you were at school. Okay, don't be a dick and just play around at school just because you got some free periods. Fill it up with some university papers. Prepare for that kind of stuff. Maybe some like apprentice things that you can go off school grounds for, and that allowed out, or just help out the younger boys. Be an example, man. Like don't just be a clown when you go to school just because you've technically finished but not, and you're just there sometimes, and just don't have classes sometimes. Don't waste the opportunity like that, because obviously the world can be pretty crappy, and it's not exactly what you think it is being a grown up and responsible for how much stuff that we have to be responsible for. But at the same time, you can't just waste this opportunity if you choose to go back to school as a year 14 because you're a young year 13 this year. You still got to be a bit wiser and still got to smarten up a bit and say, well, now that I've got this opportunity, I'm going to go and do some extra university classes, things like that. All right. Anyways, um, I'm going to be excited about this game in Hamilton against Palmy boys and how good it's going to be. I wish I could make it out to more games. I forgot to tell everybody that I had updated all the. I updated the year 11, top 60 year 11 rankings last week, and I forgot that I didn't tell anyone, and then I already did the ranking for the year 12s and the top 200 on Tuesday and Wednesday, and forgot to post it up. So go and have a look on there at all the new rankings. Next week on Wednesday there will be a new year 11 top 60. And yeah, hopefully I get to see some more games. Please keep sending me those some games or some clips or something like that, so I can see different players from around the country and have some kind of point of yes point of reference for what these players can do. And I wish I could see everyone play because I really love to talk about all the boys out there and talk about their talents and how well they're doing. But that's just how it is now. Please add me onto your guys' huddle, top 200. I think it's just ACH top 200 on huddle, and so just add me to your guys' pages, please. And just remember, if you add me onto your page, I don't use it to post. I just watch the games myself. I don't cut and edit and then give it to like players or different coaches or anything like that. This is just for me to do my homework. and so that I know that I'm watching as much games as I can and as much footage as I can as well. So please add me to your guys' stuff on Huddle. Please let me watch some games, and so I can get around to watching everybody, and I can talk about more players and more games and all that kind of stuff. But this is High School Top 100. Herschel, Fruin, peace.